Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Traders Brawl podcast. I'm Adel, the host of this podcast, and today I'm going to be interviewing Gordon Einstein,
There you go.
who is also a social media rock star. Gordon, how are you doing today?
I'm very good. I'm very well. And I don't know if your audience can see, but you give me a ton of coffee.
Of course.
So this is a good start to the day.
Amazing.
Yeah.
For those who are new, welcome. And for those who have been with us already, thank you for staying with us. We are a social media marketing agency. We are an educational platform. We are here to interview entrepreneurs, those who are building in this space and those who actually give a damn about what's going on in the world. So today's topic is actually going to be about the USA in terms of why it's screwed and why people are flocking to the UAE, arguably. And I want to get your view because you lived in LA. Yes. And you've lived that lifestyle. I know you're German. We'll talk about your background.
I got a mixed background.
Yeah.
I'm a mutt.
Yeah. But today's topic is going to be about why everyone is coming to the UAE. Is the US fucked? And excuse my language. But before we get to that, give us a little intro about yourself.
Sure. I'm Gordon Einstein, like you mentioned. I am a lawyer, attorney, whatever you want to say. By the way, do you know the difference between a lawyer and an attorney?
No, tell us.
An attorney just costs more.
So that's you.
That's good. Yeah, there you go. I'm a lawyer. I specialize in crypto and blockchain. I'm probably one of the first lawyers to specialize in it since 2014. So really a decade.
Right.
And actually, thanks to Ukraine, and that's a whole story we can get into. I've been practicing, I had stopped practicing law, but I discovered blockchain, I discovered Bitcoin, and actually went back into the practice of law just so I can make the world better with these technologies. So I think trading's great, I like it when numbers go up, but the reason I got into it specifically is because I wanted to make law better through the application of crypto and blockchain. Not just I saw a new area of legal practice, but I wanted to make law better. And I think I've actually accomplished that a bit. And I'm a big aficionado of technology in general and making the world a better place. And I think we're running against time when we're doing that for a whole variety of reasons we can get into. Like, our horizons are shortening and we need to be very aggressive. And I think maybe to leave it into the general topic, the UAE, the Middle East, is a good platform for making the world better and doing what you need to do. So there's a lot of life that's happened over these past 10 years, but that's the headline. Right.
And before you discovered the UAE, tell us a little bit about your lifestyle before the UAE.
Sure. So what can I say? I'm going to show how old I am. I graduated law school in 1995.
Oh.
Yeah. So probably before you were even born.
1995 you graduated?
Yes.
Okay.
And I did estate planning, tax, and business for several years. And then I started my own technology company in LA that was working with law firms. And I did that for a solid 10 years. I also taught myself how to program. So C, Python, a little bit of assembly and some other stuff.
All this in UAE, US.
In the US. Like I mentioned, I discovered blockchain and crypto in 2014, which caused me to go back into law eventually. And for the past 10 years up to the UAE, LA was my primary base, but I was traveling a lot to Europe and beyond. What happened in 2000, when was it, 19 or 20, it's all becoming a blur. When COVID hit, my globe-trotting lifestyle got a little bit grounded, and I was stuck in Los Angeles. I sent my wife and her son at the time, or her son now, but my wife at the time, for them to be safe, I sent them off to Thailand.
Oh, wow.
Nice me, to avoid COVID, and I thought we're going to be the zombie mobs, eventually attacking everyone. Who knows? Everyone's talking like it's going to be like the Walking Dead situation. But during that period, when things calmed down a little bit, a friend of mine who's into crypto here noticed that my life wasn't particularly great and said, Gordon, come visit the UAE. I don't know if I'm answering your question, but I'll just give you the spiel.
Go for it.
So I flew out here, and there weren't riots on the street. There was lockdown, but it wasn't so bad. So you wear a mask, and you don't have dancing. Okay, well, fine. I'm not a big dancer guy. But what I noticed immediately was, the gyms were open, the people were friendly, and crypto was happening. Okay, no, how was it happening? In the U.S., it's sad and surprising that they've failed on a legislative level, on a governmental level, to embrace crypto, or at least to allow it to develop nicely. Especially the securities regulation, which we can talk about. But when I came out here, I saw how progressive this area was, the whole region. Okay, and this is my first time to a Muslim country in the Middle East, and I was like, okay, this is the last place I would expect to be experimental. But look how brave they are. Look what they've done with Dubai. I mean, this used to be
desert.
Yeah, I mean, it used to be. It's like Las Vegas. It was just an idea and a desert, and then all of a sudden you have a city. It's like it's someone's vision. Whether it's Bugsy Siegel with Las Vegas or the ruling family out here, they made a city out of a desert. It's just amazing. So I saw that energy. Went back to Los Angeles, and I was like, okay, that situation wrapped up, moved out here beginning 2020, and been plugging ever since. So we can go to the details between the environments and the regulations and everything else, but I think the US, I think the world in general, but the US specifically can learn from Dubai, but I don't think they will. That's the problem.
I have a question.
Sure.
What is the US American dream?
Now?
Or whatever it was, whenever.
Well, okay. The dream of most people now, unfortunately, is to gather enough resources and enough mobility so that the shitstorm that's coming doesn't affect them and their families directly. And I can unpack that if you want.
Sure.
Okay. The dream, I think, and I'm not speaking for everyone. I don't have mind reading capabilities, but the dream used to be, I'm going to get my house, I'm going to get my picket fence, I'm going to get my marriage. I'll speak from a male perspective because I'm male, but get my wonderful wife, get my kids, send them to school, get my job, retire, have a good, have my friends, go to my, whether my church, my temple, my synagogue, whatever, have a good life and go on. Okay. I think that the people who are dynamic and creative and capitalist and making something happen, I haven't totally given up hope in the U.S., for example, but I think they feel that the headwinds are against them. Okay, and you only have so much time on the planet, and why are you sailing against the winds? Why not sail with the winds behind you? Okay, and so there's a lot of uncertainty in the world right now. So I think people are trying to, and they don't know what's going to happen. We can talk about whether it's climate change or AI or everything else. So they're trying to position themselves so that at least they and their families can do well. That's the dream. To be mobile and to be wealthy and to be mobile and to be safe and to be healthy. So
that's the dream in theory.
Yes.
Now, does that theory dream pan out?
I think so.
Yeah?
Sure. Well, it's almost like escaping the Earth's orbit or escaping the Earth's gravity. We're in this gravity well.
Yeah.
It's a huge amount of effort to take something from the surface of the Earth and put it into space. But once it's in space, it can move very fast, right? So your job as anyone, but especially as a younger person, is to develop your resources and skills and connections and everything else so that you can achieve that orbit. But once you achieve that orbit, it's pretty good because you can choose where you live. You can choose where your assets are. You can choose a lot of things. Now, can it backfire? Sure. Will everyone make it? No, but that's life in general. Okay, there's not a set program. I think, if anything, the program of the 20s and 30s is going to be you have to be fantastically adaptable and understand that things are changing very, very, very quickly.
Right.
I mean, wait 3 or 4 years when AI really hits. Wait, and when they put AI in robotic bodies, which is pretty close. I mean, we're almost on top of that. 4 years from now, maybe 3 years from now. So we're gonna have to be flexible, but I think you can do it.
I agree with the concept that you work hard, it will pay off. That I agree.
I think if you work
work smart and hard, that will pay off. But is the U.S. the land of opportunity?
No.
A breeding ground for that American dream?
Well, okay. Look, nothing is completely something. Okay, and whenever you get a large phenomenon like the U.S., like Russia, like China, like India, you're going to have variation within a field. Okay, so nothing is entirely one way or entirely another way. If it was, life would be very easy and simple. Okay, there are clearly bright spots in the U.S. There's a U.S. mentality that a lot of people still have. That's great, and Silicon Valley is still good, and the universities are still pretty good. So you can definitely, everything's relative. Is it better than being in, say, Germany as a work environment? We can talk about that. Yes, it is. Okay, it is. Germany still has problems getting fast internet to their major cities.
Oh wow.
Germany just gave up nuclear power, yet wants to be green. I mean, they're crazy.
Really?
They are crazy. It's like, as someone who recently got his German passport, it's annoying to see how crazy they are. Because I had an image in my mind of some high-tech, strict superpower, and they're not. They're just like still, cash-based society that doesn't understand what a credit card is.
Wow.
But the challenge with the U.S. is that its reputation and its history is so good that even not being where it is now, it's such a difference from what it could be. And I don't say that about every other country. Like, France is France. I don't expect France to be any different. I do expect the U.S. to be better.
Right.
And it could be, but it chose not to be. And it's a little annoying.
You mentioned that when I said, is America the land of opportunity? You said no. Why is that?
Oh, sure it is in some ways. Okay, you can go there. You can go to a good school. You can start your company. The corporate tax is reasonably friendly. It hasn't fallen, but the problem is the direction it's heading.
Right.
Okay. In the moment, it's still kind of going off of its momentum from at least up until the 80s. Okay, but that momentum is dissipating, and we're in a world where other people are building momentum. So you can go there and experience some freedom. Okay, maybe different freedoms than what you have here. I don't know if we could call them more, but different freedoms. And it's good, it's okay. But then again, you can't totally say what you think anymore because you can get canceled. Okay, your kids will go to school and be subject to scary modifications on their personalities and bodies, which I can't really go into great detail on this, but as a,
When you say bodies, you mean like the whole transgender?
I'm not gonna say on a live recorded show, but that sounds like a good guess.
Oh God.
Okay, so yeah, you as a parent, you have a certain amount of access to your kid when they're very young. And then they're on the world with teachers having more access and their peer group having more access and the media having more access.
Right.
You're competing with TikTok and Instagram and all this agenda. Okay, and that agenda, for better or worse, is more under control in the Middle East than it is in the U.S. And it's a scary prospect.
Right. Right.
So, is it a zombie hellhole? Well, sometimes. There's a lot of drugs on the street, fentanyl and everything else, whatever the thing is. Are there bright spots? Absolutely. The U.S. is beautiful. I mean, it's beautiful. It's kind of a shame to see that it's headed the wrong direction.
Last question. It's going to be on just a political, snippet here.
We're really going to go into the danger zone, right?
Hey, we are.
Okay.
We're going right into the deep end. Does Israel control the USA?
Well, that's a good question. Okay, number one, I'm Jewish.
Okay.
I think with Einstein, there's no hiding.
There's no hiding about that.
Okay, so just be totally clear. Just disclaimer to everyone.
Sure.
Does Israel control the USA? No, I don't think so. I think maybe what you're asking is there an Israel lobby? Okay, and I'd say, look, I'm not some tied in. I'm not some super Jew. I'm not politically active as a Jewish person. When they have their secret Kabbalistic meetings, I'm not there. I never
fly on the wall.
I wasn't even an intern with the global elite. Okay, so I don't really know. Okay, I'm the guy who goes to Costco and buys steaks in bulk. Okay, but I'll give you my opinion.
Right.
Wow, I like how we're going to this. My opinion is that there's a author. I want to say his name is John Mearsheimer or something, and I don't always agree with him, but he wrote the book, him and Walt something, he wrote the book, The Israel Lobby, and I've seen him interviewed several times, and my natural protective instinct as a Jewish American is like, no, don't say that, that's terrible, why are you accusing us? But I'm looking at it, and I think that there is a soft network of maybe older Jewish people who, not my generation, but the generation before, who saw the Holocaust, saw the establishment of Israel, saw the War of Independence or the Nakba, depending on your perspective, saw what happened in 1967, and then decided to act in a soft coordination, not as a conspiracy, but kind of like signaling each other. And I think George Carlin or someone else made the point that, you don't need people in a dark room smoking cigars to have them act in a coordinated manner. There's all kinds of social signaling, there's common agendas, there's sort of a narrative. And I think that the pro-Israel lobby in the U.S. is very strong, but not nearly as strong as it used to be, especially given the conflict right now. And there's strong other lobbies in the U.S. There's a strong Hispanic lobby, there's a strong Black lobby, there's a strong this. I think the difference is that when you have Jewish Americans, you have an issue of, is it internal politics or we're relating to a foreign country? I mean, Israel and the U.S. are not the same country.
Of course.
Right? So.
But I think Israel is their only ally from the Middle East.
Of the U.S.?
Yeah.
I don't agree with that at all.
No?
No, I mean, I think we have allies, we have client states, and they would be a lot closer to us. This is John Mearsheimer's point. They would be a lot closer to us if the U.S. wasn't backing Israel. Okay, so the Saudis and the U.S. signed a security agreement after World War II. They're actually on board of a ship with Roosevelt. Okay, and the idea was that the Saudis would sell the oil in U.S. dollars, and the U.S. would provide security. And that agreement has held for over a century now. Now it's beginning to fall apart because MES is now saying, look, guys, you're exporting, but it's a lot of things. It's not really the Israel issue. It's the U.S. is exporting oil now.
Oil, the petrodollar.
We're a net exporter.
Right.
We are a next exporter of oil, and Saudi's biggest customer, I believe, is China. So, and China, and because the U.S. has weaponized the dollar, China and other countries are beginning to talk about this BRICS currency, and Saudi's like, well, wait a second, I think we need to diversify. Jordan's friendly to the U.S., Morocco's friendly to the U.S. Morocco is the first country to recognize the United States as an independent country, by the way. I think, UAE and America are very close. Qatar hosts the USA Fifth Fleet. So I wouldn't say that Israel's the only ally in the region. That would be terrible if it was.
No.
But the different countries, there's a natural collaboration between them because they're all here and there's a lot for them to offer to each other. But there's a natural tension here because the Palestinian issue is unresolved.
Exactly.
And I completely understand. I got Palestinian friends. I would be pissed off too. So
the thing is, I think AIPAC has had a big, I
love where this is going. I hope I don't get thrown out of the UAE.
No, we're coming back.
Let me talk about AIPAC for a second. So AIPAC's controversial because it clearly is a support group for a foreign country. Okay, it's not advocating necessarily for Jews in the United States. It's American Israel Policy Action Committee, whatever it is.
Right.
Okay, and so there was a big question about whether or not that should be registered as a foreign agent, and Kennedy actually was saying it should. Okay, but I think it's it's interesting that it's a lobbyist organization for a foreign country that has a special status, and maybe it shouldn't. Okay, I think you can make a legitimate, honest case for Israel and the U.S. support of Israel, but I don't think you should. I think you should treat that argument of what it is, which is this is a different country. Here's our argument of why this country is worth our support, not conflating it as a domestic issue.
Totally with you. I'm just wondering, why does the U.S. have to,
I have no idea. By the way, I have no idea the conversation's going this way.
Yeah.
But I don't mind.
Yeah.
Go for it. I'm not shy.
Why does the U.S. have to pick sides between Palestine and Israel? Why can't they just stay out of it?
Oh, that's a good question. What does staying out of it look like?
So not maybe showing support, saying that we stand with Israel. Why not say we're not commenting on this? We're not picking sides.
So the U.S. post World War II was, I wouldn't say the global hegemon, but the global leader of the free West, okay, or positioned or marketed it that way. You can disagree with it. Okay, but that's how the world that's how they saw themselves, and that's how the world mostly saw them after the Nazis were defeated. Okay, and then there was a large, the Cold War between where you couldn't really not pick sides in anything because any local issue had international consequences, whether or not it was going to support the Soviet bloc or support the Western U.S. bloc. Like every local issue became immediately international. So you had the civil war in Angola and Mozambique and Vietnam and El Salvador and Allende and Chile and all this other stuff. Like these things that would normally you could just be like, well, let them decide. Everything mattered, okay? Because the stakes were so high. Your whole system of life and government was under threat. If you're in the U.S., it's under threat, and if you're in the Soviet Union, it's under threat. So we, in the U.S., I don't think no one really had the option of not getting involved. Now, what the U.S. did initially was they, if you look at the UN resolutions that call for the creation of the State of Israel, there's lines in there about respecting the local population, which they should have. Okay, and the U.S. I think initially positioned itself as sort of an even-handed arbitrator or mediator between the two. What's happened more recently, say 80s forward, is that the right wing in Israel, the Likud group, and to the right of them, has become mixed up in the American mind as being the same thing as Israel. It's like taking one political party, say the Tories in the UK, and assuming that is England, as opposed to, no, that's a party in England. That doesn't make them illegitimate, but that's a party. And so that sort of agenda in the American Jewish mind has become what Israel is. And if you go to Israel itself, it's a very diverse society. There's religious Jews who think that the state shouldn't exist. And they're like, this is abomination before God. Only God is supposed to bring the Jews back to Israel. How dare you create a state? That's like forcing the hand of God. You know, and I'll go Muslim for a second. You know, man plans, but you know, Allah is the best of planners.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so...
Really? That's amazing. No, to hear that.
I believe it. Allah is the best of planners. So, you know, they make their plans, you know, we make their plans, they make their plans, but Allah is the best of planners. Okay, and so there's an idea in Judaism, I mean, the two religions are really similar. There's an idea in Judaism that, you know, the Messiah is supposed to bring the Jews back. How dare you, as it's an affront to God to go create this country. Okay, then of course you got the religious Zionists who kind of meld the two ideas and they're like, well, you know, we're working with God, we're like partners. Okay, sure. Luckily, you know, it's so great. Like, I can have all these opinions, but no one cares what I think.
Yeah, no, I care. It's really good to have. You know, we could have crypto.
Sorry, just to finish.
Go ahead.
So, unfortunately, I think, in my opinion, it's just my personal opinion. I'm not speaking for anyone. Again, I'm not in the inner corridors of power. In my opinion, unfortunately, the pro-Israel lobby in the U.S. got hijacked by the Likud side of Israeli politics, and for a long time, you had a labor. You know, Israel kind of was considered more social, sort of labor-oriented, sort of the kibbutz thing, and that was they were on the track to the two-state solution, okay, which I personally, in my opinion, and again, I'm not in charge, think is the right way to go.
Which is peaceful, meant to be.
Well, sure. The whole idea of a two-state solution is you have a Palestinian state, you have an Israeli state, they live side by side in peace and security, and you know,
in harmony,
reasonable harmony.
Reasonable harmony.
You know, I don't know if given all the shit that's gone down, I don't know if they're ever going to be friends, but I don't know if they need to be friends.
What the hell happened to that two-state solution?
Two things happened, and it's an interactive thing that happened. Okay, so I'll go where one's wrong, and then I'll go where the other one's wrong. Okay, Israel is wrong if it wants a two-state solution. If it's wrong for colonizing / settling the West Bank. It is building settlement blocks of Israelis in the West Bank, both legal and illegal. There's 500,000 Israeli citizens in the West Bank, what they refer to as Judea and Samaria. Okay, and those people are very hardcore, and they've been there for decades, and any attempt by a left-wing or whatever government to extract them just doesn't work. And the only place they've ever been pulled out of is Gaza. Okay, and there was a huge battle when that happened within Israel. You know, if you look at the video, you had settlers screaming and kicking soldiers, and you know, it was actually Ariel Sharon who pulled them out, and he was the guy who was, you can call him a war criminal or hero depending on your point of view. You know, he's the guy who's involved in some bad stuff in Lebanon. So he's like a real right-wing guy. If anyone should have been able to pull them out, it was him, and he pulled out to Gaza. But look what happened in Gaza. You know, they thought they were going to pull out, and they thought it was going to be like Singapore on the Mediterranean, and now they got this shit going on. So it's Israel's fault for building and expanding and supporting settlements in West Bank because we're
colonizing.
I think it's colonizing. Well, okay, then you got an argument about, is this really Israel?
Yeah.
Okay, if you want to go down that track, there's two ways to look at that. And again, thank God my opinion doesn't matter and all this other stuff. Okay, so if you take the Israeli hardcore perspective, you say there's something called the land of Israel.
Yeah.
Okay, not the state of Israel, the land of Israel. Okay, and the land of Israel is kind of vaguely this area that we imagine Israel, current Israel, plus West Bank, plus Gaza, and that's sort of the minor Israel, and then you can do a maximum version that's a little bit bigger, but not much bigger. Okay, that's the land of Israel. And so if the religious Zionists go, this is all ours, we're redeeming the land, when we come here, we're just coming home, it's ours. Okay, they're ignoring the fact that there's a large, not indigenous population, but I'd say other indigenous population that's been there for thousands of years. And
which is Palestine?
Palestinians. Okay. Yes, that's your opening about another can of worms.
I love doing that.
But it's okay. But you know, so guys, it's like, what are you doing? If you're trying to make peace with these people and allow for a two-state solution, you need a space for them to have a state.
Correct.
Okay, they're not going to live on blockchain. Okay, they need physical space. Okay, and the really extremist right wing in Israel says they have a country, it's called Jordan. Well, there's an argument for that too, but so the West Bank used to belong to Jordan. It's called Transjordan. Okay, and Jordan has a majority population that's Palestinian. Okay, and so the leadership of Jordan after 1967, Israel took the West Bank from Jordan, but it was Jordan, it wasn't Palestine, and Jordan could have made that place Palestine, but they didn't. Okay, and then Israel took over the West Bank, and eventually Jordan said, we don't want it. Okay, it's yours. Not yours, Israel, but we wipe our hands of it, they said. That's a little bit related to the Black September Palestinian uprising in Jordan, where the government had to kill 10,000 Palestinians because they were trying to take over the government. You're raising an eyebrow because you don't know about that, right?
No.
Google Black September.
I will.
Okay, so the PLO, that was under the PLO. So the PLO basically did an uprising against the Hashemite government in Jordan, and Jordan then said, okay, never mind, you keep it West Bank. We're not going to change the demographics anymore. Something like that happened in Lebanon also, by the way. But if you want to take the peace route, you'd say, look, at least give them the West Bank and Jordan.
Right.
At least pull out the settlements. Okay, and so you can kind of argue that they were on track to do that with the Oslo Accords under Rabin and under Arafat. But what happened, unfortunately, is that Rabin got assassinated by a hardcore Jew, and Arafat couldn't quite negotiate within his own community the idea of coming up with a compromise with Israel. It was always like, we're going to take the West Bank as the first step, and then we'll go for the rest of it. Well, of course, Israel's going to say, like, no, we want a real legitimate thing where here's the border and we're in peace and everything else. So then Hamas actually kind of spoiled the peace negotiations on their own side by doing all these bus bombings. I don't know if you were alive or remember all that when that was happening. Then Israel built a big barrier wall, but rather than building it on the international border, they built it taking in parts of the West Bank around the settlements.
Right.
So all these poor Palestinians that you wish to go to their olive groves, right down the street, had to travel 20 kilometers to go around their freaking settlement to go get to their olive groves and go see their sheep and everything else. So it's, that, a lot of that was Hamas purposely scuttling the peace accord. Okay, so you have groups in both societies that are very dedicated towards not finding a peaceful solution. Okay, in my opinion, they're ridiculous, and there should be two states.
Right. And in peace, in harmony. Reasonable harmony.
Harmony enough. I mean, Israel and Egypt are not in perfect harmony, but there's no war.
There's no war going on.
And Israeli tourists go to Egypt, and I think Israel's careful right now about who they let in, but they're getting along. They're doing commerce.
Right.
Stuff is happening. And Israel and Jordan, I don't know if they're like, the problem is the situation of Palestine stains everything. Okay, you can't really ignore it. Okay, and that's part of what Hamas did with their October 7th attack. They made it unignorable, which is clearly part of their strategy. So even if the governments kind of want to get along, they have populations that are very upset with what's happening. And, at least they have to be calm and cool about it. So,
last question on this, I promise. The U.S. keeps claiming...
As long as I keep my visa.
Of course. The U.S. keeps denying claims that the war on Palestine is not a genocide. Is it or is it not a genocide?
I don't think it's a genocide, but maybe a war crime. Okay, and there's a difference. So there's also an issue with the definition of genocide. Right? The answer is I don't know. Okay, the real straight answer is I don't know. I'm seeing horrific images out of Gaza. Okay, actually horrific. Okay, and I look at this and, I'm very, it's funny, I'm probably maybe more involved with the Ukrainian conflict than I am with what's going on with Gaza, just because wherever I've been 25 times, not Israel, Ukraine. Okay, and my wife is Ukrainian. Okay, and my friends are Ukrainian. All right, so I have the curse of being an international person whose life experiences in Ukraine. And I don't know if you just saw, but Russia just lobbed a missile yesterday that blew up a children's hospital in Kyiv. 20 people killed, and this is a children's cancer hospital. Wow. Okay, I'm not seeing protests on the street. I'm not seeing riots. I'm not seeing free Kyiv from the Dnieper to the whatever. So it's like so. But whenever I see this stuff, it bothers me. Okay, what is a genocide? Okay, I'd say the genocide is the intentional obliteration of a population group. Okay, that seems like a reasonable definition. Okay, so whether it's by not giving them enough nutrition, or by kidnapping their kids, or by killing their people, or that to me is genocide. Okay, is what happened to the Armenians a genocide? Probably. Okay, is what happened to Jews a genocide? Probably.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Holocaust, come on.
Yeah, I mean, they were pretty clear. We're trying to eliminate this population
Yes.
group, okay? And the Armenian situation is a little bit more subtle because the Armenians were theoretically working with Russia in World War I, and there's an issue about a fifth column, but that doesn't give you permission to go kill all the women and children. Okay, is what's happening in Gaza genocide? Is Israel actually trying to kill all the Palestinians or a good chunk of them? I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No, but are they being very, very, very casual with collateral damage? Are they engaging in collective punishment? Are they damaging infrastructure in a way that's unnecessary? Maybe. Okay, are they committing war crimes? Maybe. Okay, I honestly don't know. I would have to be there. I'd have to go there as like the invisible man and walk around and take a look. I think if I was on the ground there, I'd feel it was a genocide. I literally don't know. Okay, now, by the way though, the UN adopted a definition of genocide that's wider than the normal English usage. Okay, so the normal English usage, and by the way, genocide was made up after World War II. Okay, I think actually a Jewish guy came with the term, of course, right? And he said genocide's this, and then there's a convention on it that widened the definition. Okay, and I think under the current widened definition, which I don't have memorized, it may equal one. I honestly don't know.
Got it.
Okay.
Thank you
well, I'm just being real blunt. So, I got obviously lots of Arab and Muslim friends, and one of them, and this is raising things. I'm like, guys, I'm not, German passport, American passport. I'm just here to make everyone get along and have peace and all this stuff. But it's an unavoidable conversation. You're not the first one to ask me this question, and the answer is I don't know.
Fair enough.
It's certainly not nice. It's certainly terrible. If I was Palestinian, I'd be pissed off.
We are very fortunate individuals that we don't have conflicts.
Oh, wait, I'll say this on the recording. Am I talking too fast?
No, you're fine. You're fine. You're good. We are very fortunate individuals. I come from Mauritius. Right? You've never heard of war in Mauritius, right? Mauritius Island.
They probably had a civil war somewhere.
They probably had one before. I've never heard of a civil war. Colonization, sure. We speak French. I do speak French as well, in Creole. We're very fortunate. I'm here because I saw an opportunity as a stepping stone. You can ask me questions, by the way. I saw an opportunity as a stepping stone working for the FCA previously in the UK, regulatory service. Came here on vacation, similar to you, and I saw how
I'm so curious what the comments are.
Oh yeah.
For this live stream, they're going to be like,
probably going to get murdered.
They're going to be like, at least some of them are going to say, wow, this guy's being honest. Another guy's going to be like, we hate him. I'm curious what they're going to say.
I'm curious to see, but don't worry about it.
It's okay.
Back to what I was saying. I came here for this reason, that it was a stepping stone in the sense that the UAE provided a progressive environment to grow and learn. Like, I'm networking at every day or almost every week. I wanted to know what your reason was for coming here, and for the audience to know that too.
Well, I was leading into it. So there I was in LA, in a nice house, but kind of trapped in there because I was up in the hills and there was a lot of unrest because different lives matter.
I love that. Different lives matter.
Various lives matter. All lives matter.
All lives matter. Some more than others.
Apparently, I never thought that, but okay. Some people have that point of view. We had all the COVID lockdowns and everything else.
Right.
Like I said before, I came to Dubai, and I saw that all religions are treated with respect. Okay, and all ethnic groups are treated with respect. And this was also after the Abraham Accords, and I could see that people were getting along and doing business and being friendly. I'm like, well, this is what I like. I like people getting along and doing business and being friendly. It's like I don't know if I love everyone. I don't hate everyone. Even with going on with Ukraine and Russia, I don't hate Russia. Okay, I love the country. I love the people. I just think the political action right now is screwed up.
Right.
Okay. It's funny because of who I am. Everyone always goes to Israel and Gaza. Like, my brain is in Ukraine.
No.
And my friends are there. The best man at my last wedding is there. It's like and I get reports all the time. But the UAE, it is an authoritarian system with a lot of freedom. You can exercise the freedoms that are important to me.
Yes.
Okay, and we're actually engaging in a more of a free speech type discussion than you would normally have here, but whatever.
Absolutely.
But there's different kinds of freedom. There's freedom to walk down the street without getting stabbed. Okay, that's a freedom I don't.
I shouldn't be laughing. Because this is the reality of some people that they face in the U.S.
And in London. Okay, and not just those places. And in Paris today. Okay, after the election yesterday. Okay, people, there's riots on the street. And I saw it when I was in, there's freedom to not be around a bunch of drug zombies because they're all hooked on fentanyl. or whatever that thing is that everyone's like, getting hooked on. There's freedom to not have all your effort and all your wealth be taxed into oblivion.
True.
Okay. There's important freedoms. We can go down the list. So you have a lot. You have. I say you have lifestyle freedoms here. Okay, and for me, especially given the dysfunctional nature of certain other more Western governments, this for me, where I am in my life, for me personally, it's attractive. And I also kind of know my place here. I'm a hotel guest. Okay, I'm not here to change the management. Okay, I'm here to enjoy my suite and the room service.
Amazing. So you live in a hotel? Is that right?
No. I was
a metaphor.
I was using a metaphor. The way I describe it is, look. When I'm living in the UAE, I'm not born here. I'm not a citizen.
But you're treated like a guest.
I'm treated like a guest, and I am a guest.
Yeah.
I am a guest.
Yeah.
Okay. I have the liberty, barring something extreme, of leaving any time. Just like I can check out of a hotel and I can check out of an airport lounge. Okay. So as someone who is staying in the hotel we call the UAE, as a guest, I expect to get good service while I'm here because I'm paying.
Of course.
But I also know my place. I am a guest. Okay, I'm not here to look at the kitchen while they're cooking the food.
Right.
Okay, some other people might have a problem with that, but then I have the freedom of leaving with my passports.
Correct.
All that stuff. But it's great here. If I can shift away from massive controversial geopolitical topics, Dubai has VARA,
yes,
the Virtual Asset Regulatory Authority. It created the first regulator in the entire world and 100% dedicated to crypto and blockchain. Right. No one else has done that.
Right.
So whether they've done a good job or a bad job, and I think they've done a pretty good job and they're doing better every day. It's hard to do something from scratch. It's hard to create a regulator from scratch. And the things you imagine are going to happen, or the way you imagine things are going to work, aren't ever how they work out in real life. The question is, what do you do next? So, look how progressive they are. I mean, here we are in a conservative Muslim country, and they're having the first crypto regulator on the planet.
Right. Yeah, it's true.
I mean, shocking.
Shocking.
Shocking. And I compare that to the United States with the SEC, being punitive and punishing of everyone. I mean, I'm exaggerating slightly, but not a ton. If I look at their punitive approach of the U.S. government and the SEC in particular towards crypto and blockchain, it was such a stark and noticeable difference when I came here that I had to do it.
I have to, make a statement here, because when I was working for the FCA, I'm not going to mention names.
Yeah,
but
I'm sorry, I interrupted all that.
Totally fine, totally fine. When I was working for the FCA, our approach was also punitive in the sense that we want to trip them up so that we can go in for the kill and sort of cancel them, or issue them a fine, or somehow make them come back in the application process. But we'll keep a record in file with a dot on their profile, so that when we come to interview them again, it's like, we remember that case. We didn't forget that case. Right? What makes you different from back then, now versus back then? It's that approach that sort of made me think that they were stifling innovation.
Sure.
Coming here, VARA being in place, the first ever regulatory service for crypto, and I will say it probably extends to metaverse, if not yet.
No, it does.
It does, right? But metaverse is on the blockchain, assuming.
There's definitely metaverse licenses in different. You know what? I'm sorry for interrupting you. There's definitely different metaverse commercial licenses. I forget where VARA is with that.
Right.
But it probably should be.
But it's a conversation we can assume it's going to be there. You wouldn't assume that for the SEC or the FCA. For me, I know that for sure. So coming here, seeing how progressive it was, that was an opportunity for me to stay. And I think you resonate with that.
100%. And the working with the regulators here is interesting. So there's two sides to that. It's very hard to get to the SEC and have a conversation with them. Okay, I imagine, it's interesting you're on the inside. I imagine it's hard for someone on the outside to have a conversation with the FCA.
You can call. There's a general inquiry line that you can call, but it takes several steps before you actually get on, speak with an actual case supervisor or authorizer.
Right.
You have to submit an application. You have to pay for the application to even speak to an authorizer who authorizes your license.
And what if you want to talk to the bosses? What if you want to get them in a conference room and say, guys, here's what the industry should do? Okay. So here you can do that.
Yeah.
Okay, here now, not super easily because the VARA is a little bit overwhelmed, but in general, you and your buddies can get together and have conversations with these people.
Yeah.
Okay, you can do that, I think maybe a little bit in Switzerland. You can do that in Lithuania. I actually went right into the central bank and had a conversation with them. It was cool.
Because you're born in Einstein, that's why.
Doesn't hurt. It doesn't, yeah. The name has some value, at least back then. Yeah, so now, what happens in the UAE is that they don't publish. I haven't seen them publish draft versions of regulations,
right?
Or actively engage in the same kind of comment process I see in the U.S. They could probably improve in that department. Okay, like actively engage in the industry. Like, guys, we're thinking about publishing this, and we want to get your feedback and comment. What they tend to do is say, by the way, this new law came out yesterday, and now you need to comply, or you have a year to comply. And everyone gets nervous, and everyone scrambles, and there's lots of rumors that fly around. That just happened now with their new stablecoin rules that they've just put out there, where they were saying, any stablecoin that's not in dirhams, you can't use, and you have 1 year to move over. Okay, what? You kidding? That's not necessarily good for the UAE. They may not have actually meant that, and they may change their position, but there's a momentary scare in the market. You probably saw it in all the chat groups, like, oh my God, look at these new regs, what do they mean? And all the lawyers kind of jump in and say, blah, blah, blah. But we don't really know, because we haven't had a chance to talk to them. It's actually the central bank that did that. We didn't have a chance to talk with them. But I think the flip side of that is they're not psychotic enforcers. They're not here to bust you, so long as you're bringing value and following the rules. They'll maybe warn you or talk with you or fine you a little bit and then put you back on there. Or after they publish an initial version, then they'll take some feedback and they'll amend their approach. So there's, you have regulatory uncertainty in the US because the SEC doesn't make clear rules. You have regulatory uncertainty here because laws get pushed out without necessarily a public comment period. But I think I feel safer here because there's more time to influence and negotiate and work with the laws after they're published.
Right.
And it's more like customary law.
Right.
I think, I don't know, it's a blend. It's an exciting place.
It's also, VARA is also relatively new. So I think they're relatively flexible for the fact that they're new. They're new in the space. They only launched, I think, a couple of years ago.
Yes, that's
so
right.
They're very, very fresh in this space. But of course, I believe they are, I'm not saying more lenient, but more able to speak to you and meet you in person rather than, go through the standard line of communication, hierarchical structure. We can't just meet for a coffee.
I think it's somewhere in the middle.
Somewhere in the middle.
Okay, so can you call up VARA and say, hey guys, I want a meeting? Not easily. They got so many applications coming in.
That's true.
It's not that they're intentionally inaccessible. I don't think they are, but they
just overwhelmed.
Overwhelmed. And who are they trying to get in here? They're trying to get. If you look at there's the laws, and then they have the rule books. So the laws are reasonably straightforward, but then for every kind of license you're getting, there's a big rule book that I think some external company like PwC wrote for them, or did in collaboration with them. I shouldn't say wrote for them. And those rule books are very extensive and very hard to comply with. Okay, and it's not really realistic to, as a startup, to comply with them. It's more like you have to be a big established company like Binance. So I think VARA, with its mandate, is trying to bring in these established players, eToro, Binance, whoever, thank God not FTX, and bring them into the market and then get those large companies situated here and then have an ecosystem grow around them. So I think their strategy is to bring in those big players and then help the other ones, and they're just overwhelmed with applications. So they're not super responsive on the emails and on the phone calls, but it's getting better. It
is getting better. They're building their portfolio. Ripple has their own VARA license.
Which is amazing, right?
Amazing. But what I'm curious about...
You got me so jazzed up with the political conversation, I stopped with my coffee.
As well. Cheers.
What's going on? Just to circle back, I got so many Lebanese friends. I got so many Syrian friends. I got so many Egyptian friends. I got so many Iraqi friends. I got so many Saudi friends at this point. It's like... I just want everyone to calm the F down, figure it out, and stop fighting, because we have so much to do. Can I change the topic for a second?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, look, taking a real macro view of humanity. Okay, the world is getting older. We have a demographic crisis. Okay, the world is climate change is happening.
True.
Okay, things are going to...
Some people believe it's a hoax.
I just
had to throw that.
I don't have time for such people.
Go ahead.
Okay. We have AI happening. Okay, soon, and it's going to be physical AI soon. It's going to be robots doing menial jobs. Okay, we have huge, we have political breakdowns. We have big immigration crises. Like we're in the late 2020s and 2030s are going to be potentially very uncomfortable.
Very.
Okay, like very uncomfortable, and we're not quite sure what's going to happen after that. All right, the clock, all these science fiction movies we saw about 100 years from now, everything's gonna be fine. It's the opposite. Okay, the clock is running down on us being able to do things, fix things, make life good, but I think we can. Okay, so it's very important to me that all these little fights, all these little distractions get handled so that people can start working together, because we even if humanity was all working together, it would be difficult to deal with climate change. It'd be difficult to deal with AI. It'd be difficult to deal with global aging. I mean, global aging is a real thing. China is losing population. Japan is losing population. Russia's losing population. Ukraine's losing population. I mean, these places are getting older. They're getting depopulated and older at the same time. I mean, that is a serious thing. And so we're going to rely on automation and AI and robotics to solve it. But then how are we going to manage that as a society? We're going to get into genetically upgraded humans soon, and we're going to have different classes of humans. So when you talk about this country, it's really going to be like you got this class, and these superhumans. Electronically augmented genetic superhumans. So we got all these little concerns are going to look quaint in 10 years from now, and in 20 years from now, we're not even going to recognize all this stuff. So I really feel strongly, and that's part of the reason I'm here, because I think I can do something about it. I really feel strongly we need to resolve all of this stuff.
Right.
Figure out Taiwan, figure out Ukraine, figure out Israel-Palestine, figure out a lot of this stuff. It's like, come on, enough already. Figure out Cyprus while we're at it, okay, and all start working in the same direction. Because my almost consistent feeling is that when you meet people individually, you have your label of your country and your ethnicity and religion and everything else. Usually when you sit down with someone and talk for a while, things calm down.
True.
Some people can't get over their stuff. And if they have a personal experience that's horrific, I can understand. Okay, but 95% of the time, it's not someone who had anything like that. It's more like this out on TV or a friend. You sit down with them and you have a nice conversation over coffee or breakfast, and they're like, okay, fine, I like you. I like you individually, we can do something. I'm like, okay, good, well, that's a start.
Yeah.
And then because there's so much to do. So, I mean, we can, it's not good that the US is screwed.
Right.
It's not good.
It's not a good thing, but we have to talk about it so people can wake the fuck up.
Yeah, and do something.
Right.
I think we're probably here for the same reason, to do something.
We are.
Your great show.
I'm here to make change. I want to talk about things that no one is talking about.
Yeah.
Having you as a Jew, as a proud Jew.
You Jew. I don't know if I'm proud. I just am.
Yeah. You are what you are.
How about this? I don't have a choice.
You don't have a choice. You were born a Jew.
I don't know if I'm proud or not proud. I am what I am.
Yeah.
It's like my last name's inescapable.
It's good that I'm not a Palestinian or a Jew. I'm neither. So I'm able to sort of just listen to your side, listen to another side.
I would talk to you whoever you were.
Right.
I'm serious.
Right.
And I have.
Right. Amazing.
And I would not be reactive. I
got no biases.
Bro, suppose you were Hamas, I would still talk to you. Okay, it's like, I would have a bodyguard. Okay, no, I'm serious. Okay. And I got jujitsu. It's like whatever.
Yeah.
No, I was in Germany in the 90s. Okay, I can talk to anyone. Okay, and that doesn't mean I'm a wimp. That doesn't mean I hide. That doesn't mean I don't say what's on my mind.
Yeah.
Okay, that doesn't mean I'm like trying to minimize myself and be safe. But it's like you only accomplish things when you talk to the other person.
Yeah.
Okay, and I don't. You be Palestinian. It's fine. It's almost better in some way. Sorry. I'd rather talk. It's like I want stuff to work out. I want people to have a good life. I want people to be safe.
I agree.
Okay. I want people to be able to have kids and raise their families and be calm and focus on what we're supposed to focus on.
You mentioned all this about how the time is always against us. All these fights.
It's against us now.
It's against us now. But all these fights, we should be focusing on the bigger picture here, like zoom out and work together and be together to solve bigger problems, like climate change. Now my question is...
If Palestine and Israel are underwater, is any of this going to matter?
Is it going to matter? No. So my question is, right, I'm still below 30s.
Okay.
Should I even consider having children and bringing
Yes.
them in this world, in this depressing world?
You know, that's a question that only a smart person asks. Okay, because I'll tell you something, the people who are not aware and are lower IQ don't ask that question, and they have 7. Okay, so brother,
What do you think? I want to know.
I want you
Gordon's
to get
opinion.
married and have 5 kids at least.
You want to do that?
Well, I'm a little old for that, but I want you to do that.
You want me to do that? Why?
Because the world needs good people. The problem is, remember, one of the big problems facing the world is aging.
Right.
It's not overpopulation, it's aging. The global population is going to start dropping soon. Even eventually in Africa. Like most of the new population is in Africa. Okay, so the future is going to be really largely African, which is a funny thought.
Oh, wow.
Okay, yeah, no, if you look at the population, you know, there was a time when Europe had more people than Africa. That it is.
Because they keep mating.
Yeah, and they're you know, good for them. I mean, you know, you go to Germany, which, you know, they're all in the 30s and 40s with zero or one kid. You know, and then they complain. It's like, guys, you need to, you know, you need to, you know, get married,
But
have married fun, and
but
have
there's
kids.
there's a big price to pay with having each child. You know, 5 children,
Well,
5 schools, 5 meals. I'm not 5 meals. That's
Well, sure, okay. Well,
You get
know,
what I mean.
Yes, and maybe it's designed that way. Maybe there's a anti-natal policy that is designed to make smart, active, good people consider not having kids and the cost of it. Okay, maybe there's a plan behind that. Okay, to which I say your plan doesn't work on me. Okay, and so don't be subject to the psyop that is taking you as a smart young person and trying to convince you not to have kids. Okay, your genetic legacy. You know, you want humanity to succeed, but right underneath that is having your own genetic legacy succeed. Okay, and don't cheat the world of your progeny. Okay, as you're a thoughtful person, you're creating all this. You know, don't cheat the world. Okay, you could by not having kids, you could be avoiding the next Einstein, so which would be a crime.
Yeah.
So you know, have the kids. I don't even know if you want to be sending them to these schools anyway. By the way, anything you want to learn is on the internet. It's all on YouTube.
it's all there.
Okay, and all the structured degree stuff. I mean, if you look at universities right now, they're like crazy politicized. You know, science is getting questioned. You know, they're more like indoctrination camps. Now, of course, it's not quite that extreme. Of course, there's great places. Okay, of course, there's great classes, and of course, there's great teachers. But I think you, as a parent, need to get real active in the management of your kids' mentality. You need to armor them against the world.
Right.
All right, you know, have them read, you know, Marcus Aurelius and learn about Stoicism, and you know, get grounded.
These are not taught in schools. Let me just say this.
They're 1% of the agenda.
They don't teach taxes in schools. They don't teach financial planning and forecasting in schools.
No.
Why should I even send them to schools? Why don't I homeschool them myself?
I'll give you a better version. By the time you have kids, you will have AI tutors that will homeschool them better than anyone.
Right.
Like I'm working on my German right now. I'm using ChatGPT in new voice mode, ChatGPT 4.0.
Right.
You know, it's great. It's better than any tutor. Like, you know, I used to use italki.com. Like, sometimes you want to talk to a human, but if I'm asking for the difference between 2 different words, I ask ChatGPT, and it gives me the best answer ever. So it's kind of funny. It's like, you know, sometimes life is not knowing the right answer, it's knowing the right questions. Well, what is prompting an AI? It's knowing the right questions. So I think education is radically changing.
Right.
You know, don't be afraid to have kids. Have kids. Okay, you know, do the world a favor.
Right. Right. Should I save up money first before having kids? Should I make sure they each have enough savings for themselves that if I die one day, they can sort of, you know?
I think you're setting a insurmountable. Okay. You have
Your
to
opinion.
You have to make up your own life. And what I'm saying now isn't necessarily the path I followed, but I think it's the path I would have followed if I'd known what I know now back then. Okay, again, you're asking a smart person question. You're asking a thoughtful, future-oriented question. The world is filled with people who don't have these concerns and just have their 20 kids and go for it. Okay, it's expensive to have kids and it's tough, but part of that model is if you have a planned family, you have your first kid, and then you have your second kid, and your third, and your fourth. At some point, the kids start helping with other kids. Okay, the firstborn starts changing the diapers on the lastborn. Okay, and especially when you have groups of families working together. So you see this a lot with Asian societies, especially Chinese. You see this a lot with Orthodox Jewish. You see this a lot with Muslims, that, you know, this sort of clan or tribe approach, so that it's not just an individual trying to figure out how am I going to pay for my kids. I got my family behind me. I got my family supporting me. And in addition to my family, I have my bigger family supporting me. You see this with Indians in the U.S. with their hotel purchases. Okay, no one Indian buys a hotel. The family buys a hotel, and the family works in the hotel. Okay, and they then buy another one, and another one, and another one, and they become super wealthy. Okay, so I would broaden your view to say, you know, me and my family, we have a genetic and cultural legacy. I'm going to build an army or a tribe around me to accomplish my goals. That tribe is initially my wife and my kids, but it's going to be more than that. I'm going to inspire others around me to take on this mentality or this approach, and this way we can like stand strong against the winds that are coming.
You know me, I gotta ask a question about this. In this day and age, I'm always the best devil's advocate.
Are you feeling me?
I'm feeling you. I'm feeling a sense of comfort from what you're saying. Like, you know, but here's what I'm gonna ask. In this day and age, with social media through the roof, what if my daughter wants to be an OnlyFans girl? What do I say to that?
No.
But it's her choice.
Who says?
Because she's gonna hit 18 when she hits 21, whatever age, and she's gonna say, technically, Dad, I can do what I want now.
Okay, there's legal choice and there's social choice. Okay, legal choice, we're in a hostile, less so in the UAE, but say you're in the West, you're in a family hostile or traditional life hostile environment. Okay, you're sailing the winds against you. Okay, it is difficult. Okay, and if you engage in a rebellion of one against that, the state and social media and everything else crunches you down. Okay, but what you see in the U.S. and the UK, and I gotta give them credit. You know, the Muslim groups, when the schools try to push this agenda, they as a group push back and get exempted. Oh, really? So if the law is good for one, it's not good for everyone? Okay, I think, again, you need to form your tribe. Okay, your tribe isn't necessarily the same religion, or it's not the same skin color or the same ethnic origin. It can be a tribe of similar thinking people. Okay, how do you form that tribe? You say what you think without fear, as apparently I've done today.
Right.
Okay, so, and then some people don't like you, and you don't hold that against them. You try to turn them around. You don't get hostile. But some people will resonate with you, and when you form a group, and all 100 of you show up at that school board and say, we don't want our kids learning this stuff, okay, you will have an impact, okay, because there's a lot of people typing at home and there's the people who show up, okay.
So how do you react to it?
I think two things. That would be a very difficult situation. Very difficult, okay. I would hope that the best conversation to have about that is not to have the conversation because you raised them a certain way. But then again, yes, you are fighting all these other forces of the universe, and people, when they establish their identity, they test boundaries, and I think we all do and have. I think I'd have to say, look, honey, I love you. I can't actually physically restrain you from doing this, but just so you know, while you're doing this, I can't associate with you.
Okay. Yeah, it's going to be a very difficult conversation, but you got to stand your ground. You got to stand your ground.
Well, there's many grounds there. Like, there's the ground of being a good father.
Right.
Do you stand that ground? Or do you stand the ground of I'm morally against this thing? Do you stand that ground?
That ground.
Okay. I'm not pretending it's easy. And maybe in the moment I'd give it a different answer. You're asking me a hypothetical situation because I don't have that.
Yeah.
Maybe when it's and I look at her and I remember as a baby and all this other stuff. I'm like, I really don't agree with your choice, but I want to maintain a relationship because now I'm in my 80s and who knows how much time we have left? Who knows?
Right.
Okay, but my instinct this moment is
don't do it.
My universe needs to be clean. Okay, so my soul needs to be clean, and there's actually this idea in Judaism also. You kind of avert your eyes from the bad. Not because you're ignoring it, because you don't want to let it into your soul. So if you see a woman immodestly dressed, you don't look. Okay, that's a commonality between Islam and Judaism.
I know. The principles.
Yeah, they're surprisingly close. I mean, I've been looking into Islam since being here, and I was like, nice.
Amazing
nice,
stuff.
Nice. No, I was like, okay, wow. And there's that thing like, sometimes God saves you, sometimes Allah saves you by destroying your plans.
True. And you never know that the bigger wisdom behind that. You'll never understand, but
God is the best of, Allah is the best, I keep on using my English. Allah is the best of planners. So it's like, when I was going through what I was going through with the lost marriage, those two verses, and again, I may be mixing the language, but those two verses actually saved my ass.
Wow.
So funny.
Very nice.
Right? So
we're going to wrap up, but Gordon, I want to say as well, congratulations on your 200K. Is it 200?
217 this morning.
217,000 subscribers on your YouTube channel.
Well, we'll see how many after this video.
I want to know, what is next for Gordon Einstein? Is it Einstein?
Einstein.
Einstein.
Well, if you want to do it the German way, it's Einstein.
Einstein. What's next for you in the UAE, since you plan to be here?
Okay, so I'm here to make the world a better place. With this as my base. Okay, how do I make the world a better place? All right, it's really about, right now it's more about expanding my reach, because with that reach comes resources and relationships such that I can deploy and combine in order to accomplish good things.
Right.
Okay, so it's for lack of a better expression, it's clout, but it's a certain kind of clout. I'm not looking for like Kim Kardashian clout.
No.
I'm looking for intellectual conversation clout.
Like these.
Like these. Like, look, if one of my Palestinian friends says this and goes, oh, Gordon, I didn't know you think that way, but it's kind of cool, let's go out for coffee and talk about it, then I just won. Okay, then it just established a better personal relationship and a more real personal relationship. So, I like cutting through the crap and just, like, this is what I stand for, this is what you stand for, let's see if we can work together. Which is what I think Israel and Palestine should be doing, by the way. So, my two main channels for increasing the reach right now are the YouTube channel. So ideally get that up to 1 million pretty soon.
Right. Touch wood.
Boss, again, inshallah. And also the events, which we didn't actually talk about, but maybe we can do it another time, or if you feel like it.
We can slide it in. Tech Tuesdays.
Yeah, right? Slide in my DMs.
Slide in
my DMs, guys. All right, so I've always done, I had a speech impediment growing up. I had terrible shyness. Oh,
really?
Yeah, and a lot of shyness, which people don't believe it. I was shy in a crippling way.
Wow.
Okay, and then when I discovered blockchain and crypto, I realized I needed to overcome that in order to become effective. Okay, so I did as much stage work as possible, and you'll see me around the UAE and around Ukraine and all these other places on stage all the time. What I've started this last year, more or less, is doing events. Iftars, interestingly enough.
Iftar, yes.
Yeah, several iftars. I've done 3.
Wow.
I love the idea of iftar.
I love eating.
Well, there you go. We're a perfect combination. No, I love the idea of iftar.
I love the gathering of everyone coming together.
But by the way, I had a friend of my show talking about the meaning of Ramadan.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you should see the episode.
I will watch that.
It's cool. It's like, oh, I like Ramadan. It's like, okay. But once you get to all this and you talk to the person, everyone's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so did 3 iftars, did a bunch of crypto lunches, did all this, did all that, and continuing this. But I wanted to make it more of a regular thing. I wanted to make it more like a community. So I started up last week, actually, Tech Tuesdays, the first one.
Yep.
And the second one is tonight.
Yep.
I got some great collaborators on that. Our buddy Siam.
Yep.
Hopefully he's still associated with me. And then other people.
Hopefully me.
I'd love to, of course. Well, you're there tonight.
Yeah, I'm here tonight.
Yeah, so the idea behind that is, like, there's Crypto Mondays, there's all these other great organizations. There's Crypto Oasis, there's FinTech Friday, or FinTech Tuesdays, whatever it is. And there's all these great groups, okay? And the great thing about Dubai is that you can collaborate, okay? There's lots of people coming in, lots of people coming out. Some of them reached out to me and said, hey, can we maybe work together on it? And like, sure, let's talk. So, but the idea is to take the technology community as a whole and have a recurring event for them where they can come mingle in a nice environment where they feel comfortable, where women especially feel comfortable because it's not a meat market.
True.
By the way, I put that in the first invitation. Like, I feel strongly about that. Like, we need more women in
We
tech.
We do.
And like most things, there's two sides to it, right? They need to step up more and attend more, but I also want to create an environment that's completely friendly and not threatening for them, and where I'm introducing them around and making things good.
Yeah.
So as part of that Make the World Better agenda, part of that is community forming. And
Correct.
I like it that just people from all around the world, different religions, different ethnicities, different everything else, coming together, having their alcoholic or non-alcoholic beverage, depending on what team they're on.
Right.
Okay, seeing each other as humans,
Yeah.
and then good things happen. So that's the idea behind Tech Tuesdays.
Love it. Gordon, amazing. I really found this conversation super insightful. I can't wait to get it released. So I want to say thank you for your time.
I can't wait to see if my visa is still around and I still have friends. We'll see.
You're safe because you're in good hands about Ramadan. You're very supportive. You're very, who cares about sport? You're a human, I'm a human. I don't see anything else.
It's not fake. I really do appreciate, now that I'm here and I'm seeing the lifestyle that's possible in this country and the religion and everything else, it does resonate.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not trying to fit in. It does actually resonate.
Right.
And it's very familiar. And it's like, sorry to correct. It's like, it's not support, it's more like affinity.
Right.
I feel it.
Right.
Yeah,
I feel it too. So I want to say thank you for your time.
Thank you.
We're going to wrap up. So guys, I'm going to leave all the links in the description to his social media. So go check him out and his website, Crypto Law Partners. But for now, thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this insightful. And I'll see you next time. Cheers.
Bye, y'all. Thank you.